Hello, I'm Michael Bedrosian, and this is my informative speech assignment on why snowboarding is awesome. Over the next few moments, I'm going to go over why snowboarding is a great activity, discuss some of the different types of snowboarding, explain how to configure and choose your snowboard, and cover some of the basic fundamentals of snowboarding. First, I'd like to talk about why snowboarding is awesome. Snowboarding is an excellent source of exercise, and studies published from the Journal of Sports and Medicine have shown that activities like snowboarding are strongly linked to better physical health and longer lifespan. Snowboarding has tremendous entertainment value, and there's a lot to enjoy about it. Many people think that snowboarding is very expensive and tend to stay away from it as a result. However, the costs associated can be roughly compared to attending an amusement park. A day ticket to Walt Disney World would cost $119, and an annual pass costing $1,620. In contrast, an Epic Pass provides access to over 80 different ski areas, will cost $116 daily, and an annual pass running $1,121. This makes snowboarding a fairly good value for entertainment. Next, I'm going to talk about the different types of snowboarding, each distinct and highlight a different aspect of snowboarding. All mountain snowboarding involves riding mostly in patrolled areas, such as groomed runs, with some limited constructed terrain. A majority of riding around the resort falls under this category. Park riding covers mostly riding terrain parks with an emphasis on tricks such as jumps, rails, and boxes. This type of riding is physically demanding, requiring a great balance of core strength and balance. Backcountry riding encompasses riding off the resort in remote locations and variable terrains. A large aspect of this type of riding is searching for unused routes with untouched snow, also known as fresh powder. Next, I'll briefly cover each snowboard's shape, their intended purposes, and some of the trade-offs with each type. All snowboards are capable of riding all conditions and terrain, but some are more suited to specific purposes. The twin snowboard features a nearly perfectly symmetrical design. This style excels at park riding and switch riding. Twin snowboards also work very well for beginners. The directional style snowboard is one of the most widely available designs. This style is designed to be ridden primarily in one direction and offers a good mix of performance in all conditions and terrains. The swallowtail snowboard features a distinct split tail design. This style of snowboard is optimized for riding in deep fresh snow and offers superior ride and float over other styles of snowboard. The swallowtail snowboard can be difficult to ride in icy conditions, perform tricks, and cannot be ridden in switch. The splitboard design features a two-part style. These are used typically in backcountry settings with lots of uphill or flat terrain that allows riders to reach remote locations. These snowboards typically do not offer as much performance or stiffness as single-piece boards. And finally, a volume-shifted board is a snowboard style that has been modified to redistribute the surface area, typically to the back and sides of the snowboard. There are very few trade-offs with this snowboard, though they can be expensive and can be difficult to ride in switch position. Next, I will cover some of the basics of setting up your snowboard. The first thing you'll need to do is determine your stance. This can be regular with your left foot in front or goofy with your right foot in front. This can be determined by sliding across the floor in your socks. Typically, the foot that you put in front will be your front foot while snowboarding. After you identify your dominant foot, you will want to choose a stance with an angle. This is important because a proper riding stance will reduce the strain on your legs and knees and will allow for more comfort and control. Most snowboards will come with a recommendation from the manufacturer on stance width and setup. An easy way to find your optimal riding stance is to perform a squat and measure your stance after standing up. This should provide a good starting point for the width of your bindings. Stance angle is another important consideration and varies greatly according to personal preference. This is measured as either a positive or negative value on the front and rear foot. The majority of riders typically use a positive front and negative rear configuration. This allows knees to bend freely without twisting. After completing these configuration changes, you should be in a good starting spot, though some adjustments may be needed. Once you're on the mountain and ready to start riding, there are some important fundamentals to consider. Snowboarding as a whole is the act of traveling down a slope using a series of S-shaped turns to control your speed and direction. This involves shifting your weight and rocking onto your heels to perform a heel side turn, and then shifting your weight over the board onto your toes in order to perform a toe side turn. You'll repeat this series of turns as many times as necessary to reach a desired location or speed, as each turn will reduce your speed. Areas with very steep slopes will require very quick and tight turns, whereas areas with much less slope will allow for much larger, more relaxed turns. If you lose too much of your speed, you will be unable to perform any turns and may stop entirely. In flat areas and lift lines, you will need to propel yourself forward using a technique known as pushing. To do this, simply unlatch your rear foot and use your rear leg to push off of the snow. Do not cross your foot over the board while pushing. Finally, I'm going to cover some of the common beginner mistakes and provide some personal recommendations. One of the biggest hurdles facing beginners is performing the toe side turn. Initially, this turn is very uncomfortable as you must shift your weight over the board in order to initiate the turn. This can cause beginners to become heavily reliant on heel side turning and may cause them to resort to the falling leaf maneuver. This is poor fundamentals and should not be continued because it can develop bad habits. Another common beginner mistake is failing to keep the rear foot planted. This is important because the significant majority of your steering will come from your rear foot. Allowing your foot to drift will cause you to lose control. The final issue facing beginners is the ability to stop. While starting off with your snowboard journey, many people feel the need to stop in place. However, this is contrary to the way that snowboarding is designed to be ridden. Instead, you should focus on making turns and using your speed as a currency to predict lines and reach them. Ultimately, snowboarding is an exciting activity. I hope that this short guide has helped you set your snowboard up, but also provide you with some basic information to start your snowboarding journey.